What's up, YouTube? This is Carrie Johnson. I am back with my Saturday vlog. This is unrehearsed. So I am going to briefly chat about my most recent clinical research study through MGH and kind of through the patient slash clinical research study participants' eyes, what I experienced or go through on this study called GLAM. The protocol title for this research study is called GLAM. Dr. Caroline Mitchell serves as both the site and principal investigator over at MGH main campus. The demographic for this particular study, they were looking for the ages of 18 to 45, someone who was assigned at birth as a female and that is still receiving menstrual cycles. This study is being funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And what ended up happening is that I inquired through MGH Rally website where you can normally take a look at some of the clinical research studies that are being offered to the general public. And in response to my online inquiry, I received an email from one of the clinical research study coordinators. So what normally takes place as a participant is they are going to take my online inquiry and send me an email, or they may call to schedule a pre-screening phone visit. There are some preliminary questions that they may ask, and based on that criteria and the responses, you may or may not be eligible. In this particular study, I was eligible after the pre-screening phone call that took place on January 23rd, 2025 at 11:15. I called her. And then we scheduled for the informed consent and to initiate the research study visit on January 29th, 2025. So the informed consent was about 15 pages, but based on my past clinical research studies, the informed consent can vary between, 10 pages to up to 35 pages. It just all depends. But most of the language, for the most part, is pretty much the same, but there are normally changes depending on the type of study. So after the study informed consent was signed by myself and the research study coordinator, we proceeded with the first stage of the research study visit that dealt with collecting my DNA. So to get the more embarrassing portion out of the way, this study involved me first doing some vaginal swabs, as well as using the disposable menstrual cycle cup, inserting into the female area to sit for 10 minutes. And while the first disposable menstrual cup was being, in that area for 10 minutes, the research coordinator proceeded with getting some DNA up under my tongue doing some swabs there, and then took 2 tubes of blood. After the blood was taken, I pulled out the first disposable menstrual cup, placed the second one in to go in for another 10 minutes. And while that was inserted in, I've got some questionnaires that I needed to fill out. Now, these questionnaires had some pretty invasive questions that luckily the investigator allowed me to have copies of my responses. And then from there, we went, I withdrew the second disposable menstrual cup out. And this is the longest portion of the visit, was getting saliva from under my tongue. That took about 60 minutes to get close to 25 to 50 milliliters. That was her goal. And I think I had reached that goal for this study. So after the DNA sample, I'm awaiting my results. And normally, if you are pretty healthy, those results will come back quickly in the patient portal. This is where they start trickling in. And I think I received results within 24 hours, which was to be expected. I didn't expect to have anything abnormal come back on these STI results. So that was pretty easy. Some people find this to be an embarrassing portion of the research study, but I only think it's embarrassing when you don't address your sexual reproductive health. So a couple years back, I had already started retrieving records from the city of Boston, and was enraged by what I uncovered, and then created a patient portal through MGH, um, where you can retrieve either records through the patient portal or in person. Back in 2020, I had started doing record retrieval in the city of Boston. I think May, and started putting together started developing a system for my personal home files, for my filing cabinet for both myself and my daughter, and started doing some record retrieval from stuff from her school, her daycare providers, after school programs, records that I needed to retain for filing state and federal procedural complaints. So the record retrieval will be done through the patient portal. I have some legal size classification folders in light blue, which would be for medical. And I started creating some cover sheets for each section of the classification folder that will go into my legal size or lateral size filing cabinet that I purchased off of Amazon. And it really is up to the clinical research study participant for you to develop your own filing system of how you want to maintain your records. That I'm going to say that is beneficial for you to keep on all of your participation for any of the research studies. So the research study GLAM, the results came in within a week, and they all came back normal. So pretty happy about that. I was due for some STI testing anyway, so I was able to get that out of the way. And I have a few tips to share below regarding those who may be interested in participating in clinical research studies. First, maintaining electronic discovery associated with your clinical research study participation from the start of communication, or for those who are in the legal profession, it is normal. It's referred to as the entire life cycle, storing your electronic discovery pertaining any communication that you have back and forth between you and the research staff. Keep all your study appointments. Try to be on time. If you have a good reputation amongst the clinical research staff as someone who follows directions, responds well to their IVs, or responds well to the MRIs or ultrasounds with no problem, they tend to call you again, or they might pass your information over to another coordinator for a different study that you may be eligible to participate in. Retain records of all signed documents, including the informed consent. It is going to be up to you whether or not you want to have your DNA stored for further developments. I chose to store all of my DNA in the state of Massachusetts just to serve as a preventative measure, as well as my offspring could also benefit from any DNA being stored. I had a lipoma surgery done here in the city of Boston. That lipoma was taken out of my forehead and will remain at Tufts Medical Center for 10 years. So I discovered something was abnormal coming from my skull when I was living in Connecticut, and MGH, I took a picture and posted it to Instagram, and MGH, they caught it. So I eventually came and had that removed. But informed consent, you can, retain those records. Also, the results that come through your patient portal. It may be a good idea to attach those results to the informed consent so that you are aware of where the results, which study the results go or pertain to. And it's probably a good idea to have a portable scanner. I have heard complaints from dental offices as well as eye doctors that some of you leave notices of privacy practices or really important documents that you sign or receive from the offices, medical offices, on the table lying around. And they have some really important contact information if you feel that you need to file complaints against your dental office, eye doctor's office. All of that will show up on the notice of privacy practices. So they may not make copies for you, so it's always good to have a portable scanner. You can scan it as a PDF file to your laptop. I don't like the idea of taking pictures because, again, this always something that can happen with a cell phone, and trying to take a picture of documents that you have signed, trying to convert them to a PDF. What are the perks of being a clinical research study participant? This is where everyone's ears normally will perk up. Well, you get free health results in real time straight to your patient portal. There are some other benefits. There's free meals, there's free cafeteria vouchers, there's monetary compensation, there's travel reimbursement. There are health advisory warnings that may show up as abnormal findings that the research staff may or may not notify you of in person, that you can use as evidence to serve in either filing complaints against your regular routine healthcare providers, or use as leverage to get a licensed physician to order a test that they kept minimizing an injury, and now you have something to use for the doctors to order a test that they feel is like, okay, it's deemed necessary for me to put in this order for you to get some required testing. Evidence to support medical malpractice. You can use the clinical results, the results for amending patient records with other healthcare providers. You can use these for state and federal complaints. procedural complaints against healthcare providers, past employers, and filing police reports against individuals not a part of your healthcare providers, and state bar complaints against attorneys pretending to be doctors, or unauthorized representation, meaning attorneys um, or forensic psychologists or licensed mental health counselors claiming to be a part of either a case or claiming to be a part of your um, healthcare team or healthcare providers. They can be used as evidence. Some of these clinical research studies can be used as evidence in housing complaints, employment discrimination complaints, um, and could also serve as a preventative measure from future crimes. The storage of the DNA. This state of Massachusetts has gotten a ton of DNA from me that is going to be stored here for a very long time. Not only is it going to possibly be beneficial for their, you know, medical or healthcare advancements, but it could prevent or serve some purpose for my offspring. So the state has gotten a lot of blood for me. They've gotten a lot of urine for me. They've gotten a lot of DNA um, taken from my body that will be here for a very long time. So with the final results of this research study, I received a phone call from the clinical research coordinator this past Friday that my results are all good, all normal. However, I don't have the bacteria that they are looking to study further, so I could not proceed with visits 2 through 4. I thank the coordinator for allowing me to participate and receive some free health results, as well as earned a few bucks along the way. So that is my Saturday vlog um, for February 8th, 2025.